All right, welcome back to Mind and Magic. I've been doing my best to get caught up on emails for a while now, but the time I have to work on them is limited. I only get so much time per week to work on emails if I want to keep everything else running on schedule. And you never know what you're going to get. You can get emails that you could reply to in a few seconds, short, quick, easy answers, and then there's others that could take a half hour or so. It all depends on what it is. And in so doing, I have come across a few that take a little bit longer to answer, but I think that other people can benefit from that answer, not just the person that I'm replying to. So I'm just going to make a video of it. It's kind of like a mailbag, but if the mailbag only had one or two questions, because I think the answers to these are going to take a little bit longer than usual. We'll start with my friend Brendan here. Good afternoon. Could use some uncrossing nap audio, if that's at all a possibility. The other ones seem to work well, and I would need that one the most. There is no uncrossing nap audio. The nap rituals are from the book The Miracle of New Avatar Power by Jeff Gray Cobb, and the recordings are just a companion piece, as the author had suggested to do recordings of the rituals because relaxation is such an important component of those rituals, and it's difficult to relax when you're trying to keep your mind on reading the rituals. When with the recording, you could just listen to them so that you can allow yourself to relax. And there is no uncrossing ritual in the book that I have come across. That's not to say that I won't be able to make a recording of a similar purpose that you're requesting. The hypnosis course that I'm working on will include similar protection in there, but that's not going to be finished for a while. And yes, I know I've been slow on it. It has been put on the back burner many times. I don't want to bore you with all the hows and whys, but just to let you know, it will be a while before that one's out, and there will be another program before it, unfortunately. But he continues, I'm through the Liam Thomas Christopher book, do my practice daily, and a lot in my life has gotten better, but this negative vampiric entity just won't let go. The Catholic Church isn't returning my calls, and back in the day when they did, the priest said he could tell it was the demon keeping it from going through. So whatever this thing is, it really doesn't want me to get an exorcism again. And I don't really know anyone else that could read exorcism prayers over me. Well, no, of course not. Any entity attachments don't want to let go. They're clingers by nature because they're parasites. And parasites never let go willingly, unless you make it too painful for them to hold on. It says, I do the hyssop baths and uncrossing candles. They seem to help slightly, but they never sever the connection fully. So I just slowly return to square one. The uncrossing candles always lead me back to the Catholic Church to get exorcism prayers read over me, but that never does the job fully. And trust me, I've been taking the baths. I think I got the worst case scenario with whatever this is. This thing is just not giving up. Right, they don't like giving up for the reason I just mentioned. But the first thing we need to do is to look to see if you are doing an uncrossing ritual correctly. Okay? First up is the timing. Are you doing your uncrossing at the correct time? There are only 3 acceptable days that you can do an uncrossing. It would be Thursday, Friday, and Sunday before dawn. You need to get into that bath just before the sun's coming up. Thursday is the day of Jupiter. Friday is the day of Venus. Those are used if you have a cross condition with money or love. But that's not what you have. You have an attachment. So Sunday is your day. Health, healing, and shining light on the darkness that may be attached to you. So you need to begin your uncrossing on Sunday before dawn. You need to be in that bath when the sun hits the horizon, in that first hour of the day, the hour of the sun on Sunday. And when that happens, you should be reading the Psalms, the prayers over yourself. Which brings me to the next point. You say you're running to the Catholic Church after having your baths to have exorcism prayers read over you. Are you not reading the Psalms, the prayers, while you are sitting in the bath, pouring the hyssop infused water over your head, because that's what you should be doing. You are missing a vital key component to an uncrossing ritual if you are not reading the Psalms while you are taking the bath. You don't mention it, so I have to bring it up. Because if that's the case, well, that's why it's only working and helping a little. You need the combination of the hyssop bath and the reading of the scripture to make it painful enough for these things to detach from you. And of course, you have your candle ritual going as well at the same time, lit before dawn, just as you are getting ready to climb into the bath. And the Psalms you need to read while you're in the bath are Psalms 51 and 91, I believe. I'll double check to make sure on that. Yes, I was correct. It is Psalm 51 and 91. You should read each one aloud, like 9 times each, and each time you do, you need to have a cup or chalice that has been consecrated to take some of the bath water infused with the hyssop and pour it over your head. When you're reading Psalm 51, you'll do it at the line, "Purge me with hyssop," and then pour the water over your head, and also try to submerge yourself as much as you can in the water. The cup is for reaching places that you just can't get. I mean, it really depends on how big your tub is. I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'5". It's not that easy for me to fit in a standard tub. I could only duck down so far. And this is the most important part of the uncrossing. Is the ritual bath reading the scripture over and over? And when you do it, you may feel that attachment getting quite upset. I recall one time, I'll never forget this, when I was reading the scripture, the more that I would repeat the Psalms, the more I would do it mockingly and angrily because the attachments were getting upset. And that's a sign that it's working. So if that happens, don't freak out. Don't think, oh, I'm a bad person because I'm being blasphemous about this. No, that's not you. That's the attachment. The entity that's attached to you is doing that. And it's a sign that it's uncomfortable. It's starting to feel pain. It's starting to get uneasy. And you're making it difficult for them to remain attached for an easy meal. And this is why it takes between 7 and 13 days in a row for an uncrossing ritual, depending on how difficult of an entity attachment you have, because just once isn't usually going to do it. You have to make it painful for them to stay on you. You cannot skip a day. You cannot let up. You have to keep the pain and the pressure on to rid yourself of these low-level entities. If you have an attachment that doesn't let go after 13 days of an uncrossing, complete with bath, scripture reading, candles, the works, and it's still attached to you, then you're not dealing with something low level. You're dealing with something major that is beyond the scope of an uncrossing ritual. I've always said that an uncrossing is like a mini exorcism because it can get rid of most things, but not all. There are entities that are out there that are too strong for an uncrossing, and at that point, you're going to have to do some work to get them to be rooted out. They've either grown in power over a long period of time, or they were never low level to begin with, and you were dealing with more of a major entity, in which case it was probably invited in. You know, the vampire lore of, oh, the vampire can't enter your home unless you invite them in. And that comes from the parallel truth of these entities attached to you to a certain part of you. And so you need to figure out what that attachment is, right? There was some door that was open, and that may even be literal in that you forgot to close a circle one time that you were doing a ritual or something, and something came through and attached to you. Or you have some sort of vice. Maybe you have a gambling addiction. Maybe you have an alcohol addiction. A demon of lust just doesn't attach to you for no reason. There's something there for it to attach to. The what is the why in that case. So you have to figure out what it is that it's attached to, because if you free yourself from that, then you free yourself of the attachment. Or at least you can get an idea of what it is about you that it's feeding on. And then you could perhaps even learn its name, and then you really have leverage over it. But, it usually will start out with like demon of gambling, for example. And then you can go turn to a demonology book and find out who's in charge of gambling and start addressing them directly. He continues, at this point, I'd be interested in literally just asking you to name your price to meet up and have you do the exorcism yourself. I don't think you'd be interested anyway, so I thought I'd ask maybe if a nap recording would work. I'll listen to it for 21 days straight in my hyssop bath 12 times a year if I have to. Thanks. Yeah, you're right. I'm not interested in bringing that around here. Because once you do get it to detach from you, you have to also keep it from residing in your environment to reattach to you later, which after your bath, you take some of that water, the hyssop in it, put it in a little spritz bottle or a mop bucket, and you clean or spritz the floors with it. I myself have a lot of hardwood floors, so I don't like to be heavy with it, but on the carpets, I will spritz away. But yeah, it's still fun doing these exorcisms. I really don't want to have to do that because these things can get nasty and they can make you become nasty in the middle of it. Just like any other exorcism movie you may have seen, depending on how strong they are. That's just them throwing a fit because they're in pain and not wanting to go. But it looks like you're committed to seeing it through. So my suspicion is that you just weren't doing the uncrossing either correctly with the timing or the duration, because you have to keep it up for 7 to 13 days straight. In your case, it's probably 13 if you're having that difficult a time with it. And you have to read them the scripture while you're in the bath. They absolutely hate that. Hit them with both Psalms 51 and 91, and that should hopefully do it. Do not leave your candles unattended during an uncrossing if you can help it. I mean, you may not be able to while you're in the bath, but try not to let them go very long because a lot of weird things can happen during an uncrossing. I've had candle holders literally explode and burn my altar cloth while I was not around. That could have been bad, and I will never, ever do that again. These things can and will fight back. It is strongly advised that you put your candle arrangement, both the pillar and the votives, surrounded by a circle of salt, which will help protect them, but don't take it for granted. Weird things can and will happen to your candles during any magical operation, but especially in uncrossing, okay? So do all this first. I know it's a huge undertaking, and you'll probably be exhausted by the end of it, but hopefully that will finally detach what has been eating you, so to speak. Just having a priest read some prayers over you once in a blue moon isn't going to do it. Just taking a hyssop bath once in a while isn't going to do it. In fact, all it's really doing is training the entity to be stronger, to be more resilient to that type of thing. Right? I mean, if you're going to do it, you got to do it. You got to go full force. You have to be ready for a fight and need to do it every damn day for nearly 2 weeks. Oh, and when you spritz your floors, save one room for last and then work your way through the house to that room. Make sure there's a window open in that room so the entity can leave through the window. And then take some uncrossing oil and then make a little cross above each door and window, helping to seal that threshold so it just doesn't wander back into your home. It may be unsightly, but every single door and window threshold in my home has been sealed in such a manner. And don't forget to anoint yourself also when you get out of the bath with uncrossing oil from your feet to your head, on your chakra points, at least the ones involved in the middle pillar, okay? These things usually attach to your energy centers. And that's about it. Let me know how it goes, my friend. And for everyone else, the Protection and Defense Program will be on sale for 25% off through this video. A link will be in the description and on the end screen. The Protection and Defense Program helps protect you against entity attacks and those who are performing magic against you. The most important magic that you could do is for your protection. And I will see you next time. Take care.